What is up, everybody? Shauna D Man here, and welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are doing great. Hope you guys are having yourselves a great week. Getting ready for the weekend. We are here to talk some Star Wars Zero Company because we did get some new information about the game a couple of days ago from PC Gamer and probably a few other people as well talk about the game. We're going to watch a video from PC Gamer, even though I don't really like them, but that's beside the point. If you're not familiar, here, let me bring it up. Star Wars Zero Company is an upcoming Star Wars game. Command an elite squad through a gritty and authentic story set in the twilight of the Clone Wars. You will step into the shoes of Hawks, a former Republic officer who leads Zero Company, an unconventional outfit of professionals for hire. So, I mean, obviously, you have your characters here. You've got a Jedi. You got a clone trooper, droid, Mandalorian, and then an Umbaran right here. This game was, I don't remember when it was announced. Now, if you haven't watched the trailer, we'll watch the trailer, but so this was the announcement trailer for the game. It's been about almost a year since this game was announced. I want to say it was announced close to Star Wars Celebration, I think is when it was.
When people talk about the Clone Wars, they talk about the big moments, the crisis points, planetary invasions, all-out assaults, cities bombed to rubble. Truth is, there's a war you don't see. The one fought in the shadows. The war beneath the war. A war that's won with the right strategy. Surveillance, ciphers, good old-fashioned sabotage. These aren't the heroes they tell stories about. They're professionals. Setting aside their differences to take on the impossible. But that's the job, and they get it done.
Yeah, so that's basically Zero Company. It seems to be more like a turn-based strategy type of game. There are some videos out of people talking about it. I do want to check some of those out real quick because some people feel like they might be concerned. Maybe. Okay, so here is one from. All right. I think most of the videos that revolve around Zero Company revolve around the PC Gamer video that they dropped the other day. So that video is about 13 minutes long. We're going to take a look at that one as well, but we're going to take a look at some of these other videos to see what other people think as well. So this is from Eckhart's Ladder, if I say his name correctly. I've watched several of his videos over the years.
Well, PC Gamer did a new preview on Star Wars Zero Company today, and honestly, my excitement just went even higher than it already was. I'm a huge fan of the XCOM series, and for those who don't know, in XCOM, you control a small squad, make tactical decisions, and face with the potentially fatal permanent consequences of any mistakes you make.
I've never played XCOM, so I have no familiar. I'm sure there's been other games that I've played that basically do the same thing. as XCOM and what Zero Company is going to do.
It's long been rumored that this would essentially be the Star Wars version of XCOM, and according to PC Gamer, that's pretty much what we're getting. They say, and I quote, "If you've played XCOM previously, Zero Company will feel like slipping on a favorite pair of jeans. The camera, cover, accuracy, and traversal all clearly iterate on the dev's prior work at Fire Axis. As in XCOM and especially XCOM 2, alongside the small squad you manage, you also have a mother base called the Den in this case. And alongside all of that, you have some missions which they're almost described like RPGs. You go find non-combat solutions to problems, whether that's scoping out a cantina, trying to get intel through conversations, or whatever, with the goal being, according to the lead designer, to capture the feeling of running an intelligence unit. As with XCOM, there will be a time factor here. So maybe you start a mission and have to wait 10 cycles. That's the example they give before you get the intel you've been waiting for.
Okay.
Presumably, we'll see the same thing with characters healing or training, but the article does focus on the fact that
I think probably a good example would be what is that Alien game that came out about a year ago or so? Alien. I gotta find it. Let's see, what was that called? Alien Dark Descent. Basic kind of like that. That's what I was thinking of, because an Alien Dark Descent is basically the same thing. You're kind of running a squad of Marines. You have a mother base. You have a space where you can recover your people, upgrades, stuff like that. So it may not be the same, but it seems like there might be some correlation.
yes, as in XCOM, permadeath is a big thing. Although it does seem to be a bit more forgiving than XCOM, where initially, if a character goes down, they still can be saved, but ultimately, it's still an aspect of the game that the studio embraced. Either way, I am very, very excited about Zero Company, and it's something we'll be covering big on this channel and my gaming channel X2.
Okay, so that is Eckhart's ladder on that. And then there was another one I saw. This one is by Corey. Was that Corey's Datapad? Now he has done some
PC Gamer.
He has done some mods for Star Wars Empire at War. I believe he was one of the people who worked on the Fall of the Republic mod. So if you've not checked that out, that's actually a really, really cool mod. I've played it before and I really, really like it. So let's see what he has to say.
PC Gamer has started releasing more coverage of Star Wars Zero Company, which is going to be coming out later this year. I was already excited about this game on the gameplay side because we really haven't had any Star Wars strategy at all in a long time. So I was really looking forward to just the idea of Star Wars XCOM, especially given the success that many of its devs have had on other games in the genre, like XCOM itself. We got a few extra details about how the gameplay is going to work in Zero Company from this article as far as the tactics go. So we know things like characters having 3 action points per turn. We know a bunch of classes now, including 12 total, but some unique ones like Jedi Padawan or Astromech. But I haven't really had high expectations, or really any clear expectations.
Now, a lot of that we'll probably hear when we go and watch the PC Gamer video next.
For what to expect from the story. Given Zero Company kind of positioning itself as like the Star Wars Suicide Squad in some ways, and the fact that it's set in the Clone Wars, I was almost getting the same vibe I got when Bad Batch was announced, where it seemed like it would be a bit too much of a caricature over the top. But much like Bad Batch itself, the information we got in this article has started winning me over a bit. For one thing, the article focuses a lot on how this game has permadeath, so the characters in your party can and will die permanently, something that they'd only committed to a bit later in the development process. It was something of a controversial move within the development team. But according to Greg Forch, Star Wars is about loss, and that's something they wanted to represent within the game as well. He talks about how seeing Obi-Wan die when you're 4 years old is a big experience, and that's something they want to carry forward into the game as well. But this article came with another big surprise for me, where between the tactical elements or even the base management elements, you're actually running around in the story in a third-person kind of action-adventure setup controlling the main character Hawks and dealing with your party that way. They compare it to Mass Effect or even Baldur's Gate 3. So,
Okay.
as a big fan of both of those things,
I like Baldur's
having this
Gate
be
3,
put on the
so
same level of that is certainly an enticing prospect. Add to that Zero Company's story is, quote, headed up by Aaron Contreras, who is narrative lead on Respawn's Jedi Fallen Order and its sequel, Jedi Survivor, end quote. And
okay.
that makes it all the more exciting for me. I really enjoy the story
I
in
love.
both of
I
those
really
games as
enjoy Jedi
well. And I
Survivor as
think
well.
my favorite part
Well,
of those
no, I'm
stories
thinking of
was the
Fallen
relationship
Order. I haven't
between
played
characters like
Survivor.
Cal, Marin, Seer, and Grease. And that only continued with the introduction of characters like Bode in Survivor. I'll leave a link to the full article in the description. I think it's worth giving a read, but this has only made me more excited for the game. I'm really hoping we start getting more videos soon. This was just an article with a couple pictures, but we're supposed to get the game this year, and I don't think we're going to be waiting that long before we start seeing a little bit more. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I hope to see you next time.
Which I think, if I had to guess, we could get some stuff coming up in some of these showcases. Now, maybe like Star Wars Day, could we get something like that? But I feel like we'll probably get some kind of information about it during one of these kind of like gameplay showcases. So, let me see. All right, so let's check out the PC video. I probably won't look at the article because it's probably just gonna like um just reiterate some of the stuff that we'll see here in the video. Maybe we'll see for sure. So, all right, let's check this out.
I want to change the way we tell stories in the genre, and I want to make choice even more meaningful.
You should have better frame rates, which means better graphics, better stories, because we can take a moment, have an immersive moment.
This one's actually doing it, and it looks really good, and it played really good.
Star Wars Zero Company has been shrouded in mystery since its reveal last year, but the simple sell of Star Wars XCOM is tough to beat, especially since Studio Bit Reactor boasts a ton of X4Axis XCOM devs led by the series' former art director Greg Furch. I came in with high expectations and they were easily cleared.
I need to get a Clone Trooper helmet next time I go to a con. Now I'll think about it.
This is going to be a great game, not just for tactics fans, but anyone who digs Star Wars or cinematic RPGs like Mass Effect. In addition to 4.5 hours of hands-on time with the game, I interviewed many of the devs behind it and dug into what you can expect from Zero Company when it releases later this year. Unfortunately, I wasn't allowed to capture footage of my play session, but EA has provided screenshots and artwork to help illustrate the game's current state.
All right, so they had a 4-hour hands-on of the
Zero
game.
Company is a Clone Wars story. You'll play through a deep single-player campaign that pitches your squad against separatist droids, criminal gangs, and a new faction, the separatist-aligned cult, the Infinite Coil, who are bent on releasing a deadly plague across the galaxy which imbues unusual and superhuman abilities on the host.
Star Wars and the Clone Wars era were presented with a very specific, Republic-centered perspective. But we know as the audience that the Republic becomes an empire eventually, and that maybe the perspective we're getting during the Clone Wars is sort of biased from a certain point of view. Having these conflicting ideologies was really interesting because we know the way that these ideologies will shake out. The dust will settle into an era of rebels and empire, of very like light and dark, good and evil. But things aren't so clear during the Clone Wars era, and that makes for a really interesting opportunity to, present a player perspective.
You play as Hawks, a former Republic officer now leading an elite squad of professionals for hire. They're both your point-of-view character and a strong battlefield unit. Think Commander Shepard by way of one of those tactician characters from Fire Emblem.
You're not a lone hero kind of like standing up against the world, felling enemies, but with a swing of your blade. You're a relatively ordinary person. You're leading a tactical squad. You're leading an organization, but you have to make them work together in order to achieve a goal. It's the fantasy of leading a squad.
I am curious on if they're gonna have like for instance, you have the Clone Trooper. Are you gonna have like different customizations for that Clone Trooper? The same thing for the Jedi, the Umbaran Sniper, the Mandalorian. So I'm curious on like some of the little details like that. But like I said, like when I first saw the trailer, it made me very much excited because it looks very good. And then like we heard with Corey's datapad, we haven't really gotten a Star Wars strategy type game in a very long time. So overall, like, I am definitely going to check this out.
Management and organization. You experience the story directly. You're not a removed figure. You're there. I felt when I came on board the project that was intrinsic to making this a satisfying Star Wars story. That's who we empathize with, the people who kind of like get dirty and are boots on the ground with it. So that's why Hawks has that role.
I think the thing that surprised me the most was like how RPG it is. You know, you're talking to people, you're making choices. It feels like you're Commander Shepard on the Normandy in between missions.
We have these authored heroes who are, you know, Jedi Padawans or Mandalorian gunslingers or an Umbaran sniper, you know, a clone soldier. These really iconic, you know, archetypes from the Clone Wars era.
And so what is really fun about this game is having different perspectives, having the Republic perspective from Bennett, having the Separatist perspective from Runa, having someone like Nish, who's from the underworld, who's just here to make a quick credit, you know?
Having them be introduced into the story of Zero Company and recruited in the squad one by one provides us a lot of momentum to kind of like carry you through the game. And there's, you know, as they come into the squad, they bring their own personal conflicts and traumas with them.
I wonder if I want for like mainly for the clone trooper. I wonder who's going to voice it. Is it going to be Tamara Morrison or D. Baker or D. Bradley? I'm curious, or is it just going to be just a random voice actor type thing?
Even just like these snippets of these characters, like it was not hammy, you know, superhero stuff. It was genuinely funny moments. The characters really were kind of coming off the screen a little bit. It was exciting.
We also have our bond system. Zero Company's squad, you know, grows and becomes actually more capable. Like two heroes can actually cross-train and learn each other's abilities as their bond and their affinity for each other's grow.
It rewards you for the squad that you put together, and it rewards the way that you play.
Yeah, we hope you care about these characters, and I know I do, especially as I'm building bonds with them, and they start to become more and more powerful in my play
Oh yeah, look at that!
So when I walk by,
that's interesting. So yeah, okay, so you can customize the like your stuff. Like, I mean, look at the different droid type heads that you can get. Like the one on the right here, I think that's like more like an R2 unit type head. So that's interesting. Okay.
I want to see what they're decorating their desk with, or who they're hanging out with between missions.
It was really critical that we allowed for bonds to decay and fracture as well due to your actions, because that's part of the fantasy of being a leader. There's sort of like this spy detective element to Zero Company. It's the war within the war. It's sort of like, it's not the massive battles of clone troopers and battle droids. It's, you know, these small theaters of war and low intensity conflict. That kind of brings with it a little bit of that sort of like spy thriller angle.
And the really shocking thing is, like, you know, the main story missions, you'll go in there and you'll have like a third person action camera. Like it looks like Jedi Survivor or something. And you'll be, you know, walking around as if it were an action game. And it's like amazing, you know, AAA production values.
Really that immersion into these different planets that you get to go down was
what does this say? All right, so this says Republic intel indicates the Coil is meeting with local gangsters at the Greasine Breakbolt Dockyard. Observe this meeting to learn more about the Coil's plans on. I cannot pronounce Cortilius. So you get some rewards, unknown items, 100 credits. I'm not sure what that one is. Focus points, mission objective, success attention, eavesdrop on them, failure, Hawks is eliminated. Okay, interesting.
You know, drove that desire to have those kind of free roam moments. And we often sometimes call them on team like our deep breath moments. It's kind of that chance for someone who just had their tactical combat experience, and then they get a minute to kind of collect themselves, take in the environment, take in the world, take in the visuals, and kind of prep for kind of that next tactical engagement where then your kind of heart gets pumping again.
And then you reach a fight and it zooms all the way out to like the XCOM strategic view. This one's actually doing it, and it looks really good, and it played really good.
This innovative combination of third-person exploration, RPG storytelling, and turn-based tactics is less surprising when you learn more about who's making this game. While developer BitReactor is a brand new studio, the team features alumni from Respawn's Jedi series, as well as strategy game veterans from Firaxis. Founder Greg Furch spent 2 decades at Firaxis refining the turn-based tactics experience with games like XCOM, Civilization, and Marvel's Midnight Suns.
Oh,
you know,
okay.
I had left Firaxis after.
I played a little bit of Midnight Suns. I may have to like replay it again, because when I first played it, I was just kind of like, I don't know if I like this, but I may have to just replay it and just play a little bit long, because I played maybe like a 30-40 minutes of it.
22 years. And I was kind of working on what I wanted to do next. I knew I wanted to stay in tactics, and I definitely had an axe to grind with the genre. There's so much more we can do. It was a Friday night, and I got a call out of nowhere. I'm sitting in my office with the lights out and my computer on, and wife's asleep, my kids are asleep, and phone rings. And it's this number that I don't recognize. And I'm like, And for some reason, I answered it. And the voice on the other end said, "Hey, Greg, this is Vince Sampella. I heard you have a game you want to make. Can you tell me about it?" And we talked for a long time, and he eventually said, do you think you can make a Star Wars game with this? And I said, sure, absolutely. Meanwhile, I'm thinking, this is insane, right? Like, this is crazy. It's Star Wars. And Vince was just like, pitch me.
We work with Respawn for a long time. We've worked with Electronic Arts for a long time, and we've been wanting to make a game in this genre. We know that the turn-based tactics genre just rewards meaningful choice.
Okay.
And when you take that genre and you add it to a brand like ours that drives some meaningful,
like, from all the still images that we have gotten of the game, we haven't really seen that much of an actual gameplay of the game itself. Just from the still images that we've just been seeing, it does look very, very good. And I do like some RTS kind of game. It usually depends on the game itself, but there are some real-time strategy games that I do like to play, in my own free time. I'm trying to think of what have I like. We're about to start Company of Heroes here on the gaming channel next week. That is like one, for instance, that that's like a real-time type of strategy game. And there's a few others that I've played that I've kind of liked. So
choice. We knew that would be something that would make fans happy. And that's where Greg starts talking about, I want to change the way we tell stories in the genre, and I want to make choice even more meaningful, and we want to present things in a more cinematic fashion.
It's so easy for genre fans to kind of wear it as a badge of like, oh, the art doesn't matter, the graphics don't matter, the story doesn't matter, it's all about the gameplay. It is. The gameplay is what it is about. But depth doesn't cost you elegance. You can absolutely have.
the story matter. Gameplay does matter. Story does matter. Like how you feel about the characters, I think that does matter. All those matter in a game. So
all those other things. It's a single player game. There's not latency issues. You should have better frame rates, which means better graphics than other games. You should have better stories, because we can take the camera and tell you a story. We take a moment, have an immersive moment without it really changing your flow, because it's expected. Genre fans got conditioned to believe that they shouldn't have these things. But we're here to tell you can have both.
When he was building the studio, it was really important to him that he had experienced devs making turn-based strategy games, and then another percentage that were experienced devs that have not made strategy games, that come from other genres.
Here we are, we're a brand new studio. We have a strong pedigree in a space, and there's almost 20 of us that have worked together before, so we're not really a garage shop. We're a new studio. You've got these two giants taking a chance on someone like us.
Oh, what is that?
Having the vision and the courage and the conviction and the faith in us, right? To do something new, to do something outside of their norms. I think that's worth mentioning. It's just not common anymore. It's been amazing.
Once you get into combat, Zero Company should be immediately familiar if you've played XCOM before.
It feels deep. It felt like I could have played a lot cleaner and was, I had fights where I barely scraped by.
I really enjoy the puzzles that I get to solve in those spaces. It's like, oh, wait a minute. Okay, I need to get enough advantage to do this. How am I going to make that happen right now? This unit might be able to take a couple of shots over here. Then I'm going to be able to go and use my rocket jump over to here. Now, after I do that and knock those units back, maybe they'll go into Overwatch. It's that plotting and planning and then execution of my plan.
It's that strategy portion of a real-time strategy game. Like you have to like think a couple steps ahead on what you want to do in order to, achieve the outcome that you want. So, because I'm sure, obviously, there's probably like a difficulty level, but I'm sure for like people who maybe have not played those type of games, it could be I don't want to say learning curve, but it could be a little bit challenging. Because some people aren't really big fans of like strategy type games and things like that.
Plan that's rewarding, and then having the challenges that the game presents me to give me novel, unique situations so that I can't fall into a predictable pattern or strategy all the time. Those moments just feel good. They're the moments you tell your friends about when you're playing a game.
As with XCOM, your squad consists of 4 operators. This stops the action from getting too overwhelming, according to its developers.
Most of the games in this particular genotype of tactics games have landed in the 4 to 6 units range. If you start to go below 4 units, you walk this razor's edge where losing a unit becomes potentially catastrophic. Similarly, if you go much above 6 units, the camera needs to pull out higher. You need to see more of the battle space. There need to be more enemy units on the field for you to deal with. And that often results in simplifying the action space of each individual unit so that the player can parse everything that they're doing.
Okay, that's fair.
So for this particular type of tactics game where you move your whole team at one time and then you rotate to the enemy team and they take their whole turn at one time, 4 to 6 tends to be a pretty playable place for that game to be.
It all feels super tense in a very similar way to XCOM. Even with RPG elements, there's never that sense of snowballing and invincibility you get with an overpowered build in like Baldur's Gate 3. And there's the ever-present threat that any of your guys, including the named hero operators, can be killed permanently.
A character as beloved as Cab Uppercut, or one-armed Felshi Boxer, he can just catch a blaster bolt and be gone very, very, very early in the game, and the story has to go on with him.
It really heightens the emotions you feel, because now that soldier going down has a lot higher stakes. And you're like, do I let them die or do I
so
get
it looks
them?
like
What
So like right here, it looks like you're gonna have just a slew of characters that is Zero Company. So, but you could only play 4 at a time. So you can, I guess, you can be able to like mix and match your characters at any point.
Or do I get them? What's my
opportunity? I think that's just appearance.
How am I going to sort this out?
Star Wars is about loss. I mean, 4 years old watching Obi-Wan Kenobi guy, right? Like also like as a developer wanting people to not save scum, but to push through the loss. Like what's on the other side? Experience, feel it. When you save scum, it's like hiding your feelings. Like I'm just not going to let it die. It's part of what the genre can do so well because it's about a group of characters. I can lose one and it's not game over.
If you want to have a Star Wars story-driven experience with a cast of really like well-realized authored characters that we poured a lot of love into, it's there for you. But if you want to roll with your own team, you can absolutely do that as well. And we spared no expense to try and make that just a satisfying experience for the player.
This degree of customization and squad makeup allows for some unusual builds. The astromech droids in the game are support units with extra utility slots for grenades and the like, and designer James Brawley is very passionate about squads consisting solely of R2's D2.
I always wanted astromechs to be a playable unit in the squad. I always wanted to give them a special place as the king of support units, basically. One of my fondest gaming memories was going back to the original Final Fantasy and playing through the entire game with 4 white mages, which made the game phenomenally difficult in the first 4 to 5 hours of gameplay. But then eventually it turns out that that's actually an incredibly powerful solution to almost every problem in the later games. So always in the back of my head, I was like, what if you played through the game with 4 astromechs? I wanted that to be possible. It's going to be pretty interesting because a lot of your combat capabilities, if you do that, are going to be defined by your ownership of the utility items in the game and which ones you can bring on the squad. That's where all of your offensive capability is going to come from in that case.
Zero Company is a great tactics game, and if you've been craving something to hit that XCOM 2 sweet spot, your wait will soon be over. But what really surprised me was BitReactor's emphasis on storytelling and presentation, all without sacrificing any of that tactical depth. I think that combination is going to really push this game over the top and make it one to watch later this year. For all things Star Wars Zero Company, head over to PCGamer.com, and for more previews of the latest upcoming games, subscribe to PC Gamer here. I'm told Scott put something for you to click on to subscribe, and I said here. Please email him with any complaints if this is not the case.
No. Okay. Anyway, so all right, so let's see. Yeah, I mean overall the video looked fine. I guess we do have time, so let's check out the article real quick. And we could talk about that because I was trying to see like about the classes and stuff. They said it was like 12 total classes. So let's see. All right, so reactors. Oh, I can't speak. Long rumored Star Wars tactics game. Zero Company finally got it. Okay, so Zero Company's release expected in 2026, but not a actual release date yet. What is Zero Company? Who is Zero Company? Okay, so you get a custom protagonist in Zero Company, Hawks, who is also a mandatory unit in story missions. They're a disgraced Republic officer getting by in a galaxy at war, accompanied by their Clone War buddy Trick. Zero Company itself is a Star Wars A-team doing covert mercenary work for the highest bidder, but with a heart of gold. Naturally, the story introduces a number of authored squad mates who resemble BioWare companions, and that includes Trick, who is a clone commando, Cap, uppercut, cyborg boxer, Clyde, Mandalorian mercenary, Luco, Umbaran sniper, Jay, ousted nobility, and Telra Volkis, Jedi Padawan. There are a number of story-centric support characters who remain at your home base. The Den. Every story squad mate is subject to the same permadeath rules as custom mercenary operatives, and a mechanical playing field is fairly even between them. Story squaddies do get special abilities unique to them. Mr. Persistent Respect, Clyde Mando's Jump Pack, Hawk's AP Refresh, Jay gets a random assist ability that reminded me of Fallout's Mysterious Stranger, finishing off enemies when you finished it most. Okay. Okay, so the base classes of specialization: Assault, Heavy, Sharpshooter, Soldier, Scoundrel, Gunslinger, Scout, Medic. My favorite to play was definitely Gunslinger. They get an attack that refreshes AP on kill, letting you chain together finishing blows. Hawks and the fully customizable XCOM style mercenary characters get their pick of Star Wars alien species. So then there's so you get Neveron, Human, Twi'lek, Zarok. The following species only available. Okay, so that's pretty interesting. I'm not really going to go through the whole thing, because a lot of it is just repeating some of the stuff that we just heard in There's No Romance. So a lot of it's just repeating some of the same stuff that we heard, not only in the article, but with the two previous videos. So there's not really a need for me to go fully down that list. But Star Wars Zero Company does look very interesting to me, and I'm very much interested in playing the game when it releases. Don't really know when it was going to release, but it's I would feel like it's probably going to come out fall or maybe winter of 2026. I doubt it will come out in the summer. It could come out in the summer. It could come out in the summer or fall, where I feel like it's probably a good landing spot for it. But I mean, obviously, we're just going to have to wait and see on how that plays out. But guys, that is relatively it. If you're new to the channel, be sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Be sure you comment below. But other than that, I will see you guys in the next video. Y'all have a good one.